All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Strongman Winner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Camby, and this is episode 54. A little bit of a hiatus going through bachelor parties and a wedding, but now we're back, and we're starting back with the America's Strongest Man and Women 105 kilo, 82 kilo preview. I'm hosted by the 2017 America's Strongest Man champion, James Steffenbog. James, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
Doing okay. A lot of stuff left to do before the show, but we'll get there.
All right, you excited for the big day?
Yeah, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a pretty big competitions. So we're going to go through not only the competitor list, but some of the events, and of course talk about everything regarding America's Strongest Man and Women. But to start off, in your opinion, just when it comes to like the lore around America's Strongest Man, what does it take to win the title?
Well, to me, it's always been like the true strongest man in America. All the best 105K athletes have always been there, and it's just such a jump up from like nationals, where like most of the people at America's Strongest Man have won nationals or at least got top three or won these big shows. So like the talent is just so deep and so strong, and what you tend to see is like the performances that are like above what you see anywhere else. I know like in 2019 there was a max log press, and I think I got 350, and I finished mid pack, and that was like, at the time I think it was higher than like the USS record and higher than the Static Monsters record, and that finished mid pack at the show. So it kind of attests to the caliber of athletes that are there. And I think the fact that, it is so exclusive, it always, every year's had the highest payout for the 105s, that, just keeps the best athletes coming back, and you see some of the best performances you'll see in Strongman.
Excellent. What did it mean to you when you won your title back in 2017?
Yeah, it was the thing I'd been working for a really long time. I won amateur nationals in 2014, and then after that, that's the next step. That's the next big thing. So kind of my life pretty much revolved around that goal those years going into it. I built a gym just so I'd have a place to train for it. That was kind of my main goal. Like, I started the gym because I needed a place to train how I wanted to train. And the thing I was training for was always going to be America's Strongest Man. That was the number one show. So, people talk about how much work they put in. Well, I built a gym to win ASM. That's what it took for me. So, that was, it was the absolute, top of the sport in my eyes. And I think it still is.
Excellent. For myself, being a young Italian boy immigrating to America in 1995, just winning America's Strongest Man, I felt it was the embodiment of the American dream. So I think it just really kind of put everything into picture, of course, when I won. So one of the biggest accomplishments to myself these days. But I always say when it comes to all these strongman competitions and titles, there's multiple worlds, but there's only one America's Strongest Man. So but before we get into the show, let's take a look at all the past winners that we've had. So I believe this is let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think this is the 21st running, the 20th running of America's Strongest Man, 105 kilo. And it's been about 3 or 4 years for the 82 kilo women. Is that right?
So previously amateur nationals was America's Strongest Woman. You look at some of the old trophies, like I think in what year was that? The 2016 trophy actually said America's Strongest Woman for amateur nationals. I think 2017 was the first year that it was a standalone show, that it was separated. The pro class started in 2016, and 2017, I believe, was the first America's Strongest Woman in the pro class.
Okay, all right. Because I remember they had when we did it in Vegas, we had Strongest Woman in the World. So you had the Americans mixed up with some of the international ladies.
Yep. That was the first year, and it was both Strongest Woman in the World and America's Strongest Woman. They scored them both together and separately.
Oh, Interesting. All right. So about 7 years running then. So we of course have the 20th and the 7th year running. So of course, very cool. So of course, all the past winners, of course the person that holds the most right now is Sean DeMarinis. But
Yeah.
right now we have a gentleman with 3 titles going for his 4th, and he was a last minute sign up. So let's take a look at the 105 lineup. So we have 13 guys. We have Jeffrey Lee, Bill Kendall, John Parker, Alec Suckup, Brandon Burley, Johnny Wajishko, Dan Hughes, Justin Loy, Kevin Candido, Matt Muller, Nick Hine, Mike Cogden, and then the 3-time America's Strongest Man, Zach McCarley, the last minute sign up.
Yes.
So what's crazy about this list? Mike Cogden is the only individual that competed from America's Strongest Man last year. Everybody else dropped out, or someone like me that moved up a weight class. But it just kind of shows kind of how stacked the 105 class is, and usually, of course, all the pros come. But this year we had 3 special invites in Burley, Suckup, and also who's the third one?
Hine.
Refresh me. Or was there only them 2?
Nick
On
Hine.
Hine, yes, Hine. Nick Hine. So we're excellent lineup right there. And then of course for the ladies, so we have actually 7. So of course we have Rachel Peterson Bennett, Cassandra Moore, Jamie Shama, Aaron Wachlet, Jessica Mitchell, and Katie Gutwald. And then we had the late entry of Aaron Murray. So of course a great running. So 7 individuals for the ladies. It's probably the most that we've had for the 82 kilo women as of the last few years, right?
Yeah, I think so. We may have had about that in 2019. I'm not really sure. Or 2020. I think there's about 7 or 9.
All right, but overall,
great turnout.
Very good turnout.
Strong people.
So we're very excited. So going through some of the lists, I thought we could. I didn't think we're going to go through an overall winner, but we can talk about some of the favorites for some of the events. So someone who to watch, especially when everybody's watching either live or on the live stream. So of course we have the press medley. So for the men, we're going from a 270 axle with, of course, the log being the 290 and the 330, and then finishing with the 350 axle. So on the guys' side, so of course with the late addition of Zach McCarley, I thought Zach is probably going to be the favorite to win, especially with he's a great kind of speed presser, and he even has that max strength, and axle being kind of one of his favorite events. But I thought it could also be a battle between right behind Zach, between Dan, Hine, and Loy for the next 3 spots. You have anything to add there?
No. So Zach and Carly is kind of the unknown right now because we haven't seen him compete a really long time. He's got great, Olympic technique. So I could see him hitting that 350 axle pretty quick. He's extremely athletic. He's fast. He's not. I mean, we saw when his wins were, but he's still only like 35, I believe. So he's not like too old or anything like that. He's he could really surprise us here. But again, it's just kind of a mystery at this point.
It sure is. So what do you think about for the women? Anybody watch out on that end?
So Cassandra Moore has won most pressing events she's been in. Almost everyone, I think. She is a phenomenal presser. Jessica Mitchell is also a great presser. She could be competitive. And of course, Aaron Murray should be able to handle those weights just fine. So I think those 3 are going to be the top for the women.
All right. Excellent. So moving on, the second event, which is the Ukrainian deadlift or the farmers?
The second event is the farmers.
Farmers. All right, here we go. The farmers. So we're going to go up with max weight. So you guys see the jumps. So starting at 260 for the men, and hopefully we're going to see some 400 plus ones, and then starting at 180 for the ladies. So each competitor is going to carry 30 feet, no drops, and there's no time limits. Just have to get through the course. So there'll be a little strategy. I wonder if people are going to be taking their time, but also you don't want to run too fast. So I'm curious how fast competitors will be going compared to maybe like a race in this sense. So talking about the guys, I would say when it comes to the farmers, I would say just just looking at social media, you would think someone like Dan Hughes has had some really great training when it comes to this event. But I don't think you can overlook someone like Kevin Candido, who also has an insane grip, an individual from Connecticut. You also have Cogden. He's the former Farmers record holder back when they did it for 50 feet. And then also probably some of the other great deadlifters you have in this group, like someone like Hine or Jonathan Parker could be good in this mix. And supposedly back in the day, you had someone like Zach McCarley who had a pretty insane grip from some of the older guys who were mentioned. What do you think about Mr. Matt Muller? Does Mr. Matt Muller? I think he had a good grip back in the day, or from what I remember.
I think it'll be competitive. I don't think it's enough to win the Farmers itself, but he's extremely well-rounded and has more grit than anyone. So I wouldn't count out on anything, but for this particular event, I would probably put Dan Hughes in first, and then in addition to those that you mentioned, I think Bill Kendall is really competitive on Farmers as well, and of course Jeff Lee always delivers at competitions.
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty good competitive list there. And then for the ladies,
I could see like 4 or 5 guys getting 400 pounds. So that'll be exciting to see because we haven't seen 400 pounds in competition here, but I think we're going to see it this time. We're going to see it, and more than one athlete getting it too.
Mm-hmm. And it's always great that we always have like a max at America's Strongest Man compared to some of the other events, right? Some of the other events kind of shy away just because maxes take time and it's a lot of weight to move around. But I think it's a very special event for all the athletes because I think just one thing that kind of makes a difference between the amateur and the pro level is that it's having that top level strength, is having those maxes in. So really excited to see there. So for the ladies, do you think this would be a battle of the Aarons here between Aaron Wachlet and Aaron Murray?
Yeah, I don't know Aaron Murray's grip specifically. I know Aaron Wachlet's been doing very well, but I could see. I suspect we'll see in the 300s. I don't know if we'll get to 320, but we might. And with Farmers specifically, a lot of times some of the athletes that aren't statically the strongest can do exceptionally well at grip events. So we might be surprised by some of the other athletes as well.
All right, excellent. But just seeing the 300-pound Farmers for the ladies, especially the middleweight ladies, is a huge number. I did some 300-pound. Yeah, I did some 300-pound Farmers the other day, and of course it beat up my grip pretty well. So again, exciting to see just the level of standards for these ladies to keep increasing year per year. So the next event, then we have the Ukrainian deadlift before the Conan's wheel. So Ukrainian deadlift would be pretty cool. So all for reps. So James, you built this right.
The order of competition, Conan's wheel will be before the Ukrainian deadlift.
Oh, Conan's. All right, sorry. So let's go to the Conan's wheel first.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit on the Conan's wheel. So we'll get back to the Ukrainian deadlift. So on the Conan's wheel, so are they going counterclockwise or are they going clockwise?
I'd have to check what I said.
All right, we're gonna double check on the direction, but hopefully competitors have been practicing on both sides. So of course 650 for the men, 400 for the ladies.
Enough, if our cameras are angled well, I think we could probably do both directions.
Okay, cool. So initial thoughts. This is one event where I feel like taller guys or taller competitors usually do better than others. So I would think that Johnny Waz and Jeff Lee might be up there in terms of this event. Maybe someone like Justin, who won the max distance back at the ASM 2020, will probably be right up there. Looks like Dan had some great training, but I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like Brandon Burley do really well in this event because he kind of has that kind of brute strength and doesn't like to quit. You have anything to add on the Conan's wheel?
I'd put Justin Loy as a favorite. I know at the last ASM he won Husafell without much training at all for it. I guess he was training for nationals with it, but I think he won Husafell nationals and Husafell at ASM. So I think that should be the closest event. So I'd see him doing well. And again, it's a grid event, so I could see Matt Moeller doing very well as well.
Yeah, Mr. Moeller. So Mr. Moeller doesn't have a social media, so he's always a little bit of an unknown to everybody. So I would say for the most far. It would be interesting what kind of package he's going to bring today. But of course, in the day of information being out there is always fun to have surprises. And then for the ladies, you would think that someone like Erin Wachlet would do pretty well because she has a great who's felt stone as well.
Yep. Hopefully she'll do well. Again, it's all grit, and she has just tons of grit. So the question is it going to sit well for her? Is she can be comfortable with that, diameter of conants and everything like that? So it's really open to anyone, that gets comfortable and you just grind through it. So it's really anyone's game on this event.
Now, what are you using? Is it just standard weight plates going to be used, or is it going to be like an object in the middle?
I'm hoping for objects.
Object.
We'll see when I get there with my stuff.
All right, cool. Very exciting. So now we're going to go back to the Ukrainian deadlift. So as the fourth event. So for the Ukrainian deadlift, I want to explain this one since you build the rig. It's going to be ascending weight.
Yep. So we'll start off with weights, with some kegs tied down. And then after you hit the first rep, we'll throw in for the men, it'll be a pony keg on each side. For the women, it'll be a propane tank on each side to get to the next weight. And they'll hit that, throw more weight in, hit that. And then on the last one, that'll be for reps. And so it is a little bit of a deficit. It's a little bit different movement. So and the apparatus itself adds extra resistance to the reps. So, 680 on this might actually be harder than 680 on a bar. So we'll see how some of these athletes do on this.
Yeah, excellent. So I think just some initial thoughts that I feel like this is John Parker's event to lose for the 105 men. Not only did he do really well on it at the Arnold Amateur this past year, but he would train the Ukrainian deadlift religiously because Gabe Payne as his coach. So he did this even before Ukrainian deadlifts got popular again. So I feel like it's his event, but you have other great deadlifters like Jeff, Dan, and Hein. I feel like Cogden, this would be a good event for Cogden as well. And then I could see someone like Alex Suckup doing well in this event.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary. I see John Parker in the lead, but there's a lot of really great deadlifters there.
But John Parker is made to deadlift. And I think we all know that. But he's really also come around as of late to become that well-rounded strongman too. And then, what do you think for the ladies when it comes to the deadlift?
The ladies, I'm not super sure, but I think Erin Murray should be real competitive in that, and Jessica Mitchell as well. Yeah, but it's I know a few of them have experience on the implement. I believe Erin Murray would have used it at the Arnold. I believe I know Jamie Shaman's used it. I don't recall how she did, but yeah, I would say Erin Murray as a favorite, but a lot of other great athletes as well.
All right, excellent. And then I think I forgot to put the stones in my item in terms of the list. Now I have it. So forgive me, guys, for forgetting the stone. So, but we have an ascending stone series over a 48-inch bar. And then for the guys, it's up to 400 pounds. Is that right?
Yep.
And then for the ladies, what are they going up to?
For the ladies, it was to 300.
300. All right. So of course it's a nice little series to go. So just thinking just out there when it comes to stones and you see these group of guys, I think right now is probably Jeff Lee's event to lose. Jeff loves stones, very gifted at it. Of course he has the best leverages for it. So I think he's do really well. Supposedly, of course, this is before my day. But Zach McCarley was a great loader. I know Dan and Justin have struggled in this event in the past, but they've shown improvement as of late. But I was also doing a little bit of my homework too prior to hopping on this, and I saw that Jonathan Parker took second at OSG behind Clayton in the Stone Series, and Burley was right behind him. And Jonathan Parker and Burley both beat Hine and Hughes on this event at OSG. So I think this Stone event is really going to mix up the points towards the end. So going to make it pretty interesting in terms of coming down to the wire. Um, and then for the
And
ladies, what do you think?
Bill Kendall also Bill Kendall was
Mm,
knocking on a 500-pound stone as well.
really?
So he can be really competitive as well.
He doesn't, you know, I was looking up him on his IG recently. So Bill, if you listen to this, I think you got to post more on Instagram because it's hard to make a good preview because I think he hasn't really posted much since the Arnold Amateur. I know he puts stories up, but like of course stories get deleted and they go away. So if you're listening to this, we need to see some more posts so I can make better analysis going forward.
Yeah.
And then for the ladies, do you think it's another battle of the Aarons here?
Possibly. Yeah, there are a lot of good athletes. I know at OSG in the finals, it was Erin Wachlet versus Jessica Mitchell, and Erin Wachlet just beat her out. But they're both great stone loaders, and the other athletes should do really well as well. Erin Murray is a great stone loader, so I see maybe three or four should finish the series. So it's going to be about being fast and efficient.
All right, excellent. And then as a competition as a whole, I felt for the men's it was really hard to really kind of pick a winner. So I think it's really going to come down to who's healthy, who wants it the most, and who shows up on game day. But I almost have a 6-horse race for the top spot. So I have somewhere between Jeff, Dan, and Cogden, and then with the late addition of Zach McCarley, but we can't also forget Hine, and also I'm missing one, and Justin Loy. So Justin's recovering a little bit from a hip injury, but of course, Justin peaked is also a pretty formidable threat in some good events here. I feel like everybody has one event that's not great for them. A lot of them have 3 or 4 good events for them. So it really sees how it stacks up. And we just went over this. We're seeing pretty much potentially a different winner per event. So pretty much whoever wins the event might not correlate to the overall winner. So I think that's going to be a pretty exciting piece on that end. And then from what we talked about, I think for the ladies, I think potentially a good podium right there could be the Jessica Mitchell and then the 2 Aarons. So I think that's going to be a great finish in that sense. Anything you want to add in terms of in that preview?
No, I would agree. That's it's really up for grabs. There's no clear favorite here. The most successful 105 athletes of late have been Dan Hughes and Nick Hine, I think, in the last year or so. And Zach McCarley, of course, he's going to be the wild card. But a lot of these guys have some of these guys are newer and are getting a lot better. So we might see kind of a new level for them, like Alex Sukup. I think he's fairly new to the sport. Correct me if I'm wrong. So
he is,
this could
like
be
24.
Yeah, so this could be a big breakout for him.
He's a young buck.
Yeah. So we'll see.
And then like Brandon Burley, he's taken 5th, like for instance at the class show in OSG, but I have a tough time seeing him take 5th along this lineup because there's so many great guys. So I know he's been doing pretty well. So it'll be interesting how he kind of stacks up. But it's just a good variety of events. But let's also take a look at some prize money. So pretty cool, paying out all the way up to the 7th place. So of course, $5,000 for first, $3,000 for second, and $2,000 for third place. So of course, for a total of $24,000 between the 2 classes. So again, the best package out there for weight class athletes out there in the domestic U.S. But again, another testament to Strongman Corporation, their dedication to the athletes. So what can we expect from the Chicago Expo? I forget. Sorry if I'm blanking on the name of this particular expo.
It's called the Chicago Pro. It's part of the Wings of Strength series. So it's primarily a bodybuilding show expo. So half the space is the bodybuilding show, then they have us, and then the vendors on the other side. So yeah, it should be a good turnout, good environment.
All right, and then of course you can buy tickets if you want to watch it in person.
Yep, there's a link. If you just click on the bio of America's Strongest on Instagram, There's a link to the tickets for people who want to watch in person in Chicago. It's this Saturday. Starts at 10 a.m. Athlete intros are at 9:30. So yeah, if you're in the area, come on out. It's gonna be a great show.
All right, so just remember, just one day show, so it's just Saturday. So there's also tickets available Friday. If you want to come
Not
Friday,
anymore. They fixed it.
they fix it. Okay, all right, excellent. So make sure you just come on Saturday, and then personally, I'll be commentating. So I will most likely be solo. Is that right, James?
Most likely, yeah.
All right, so you'll hear me solo talking throughout America's Strongest Man and Women, and I'm going to try as best I can to interview each athlete that comes on, especially the winners. Again, if time permits, but you'll hear me kind of be talking like a radio host on a late night stream. So I'm going to do my best in terms of analyze predictions and what's to come. But anything that you want to add before we hop off?
No, I think it's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be terrific. So I'm going to put the link below if you guys are interested in learning more about America's Strongest or interested in coming over if you're local to Chicago. But any questions?
Free YouTube live stream as well. So look for that link. We'll post in the show notes.
All right. So that'll probably come out Wednesday, Thursday, or closer to the show.
Probably later today.
Later today. All right, there we go. So of course, we're all posted. So, but any questions, always feel free to leave in the comments or reach out to us, guys. But guys, thank you for hopping on and listening to us today. And of course, it's going to be another terrific run at America's Strongest Man and Women, 105 kilo and 82 kilo women, all. Good call, James. Talk soon.